Welcome to Bittensor Weekly, your source of truth for everything happening in the Bittensor ecosystem. I'm your host, and this is episode 15, recorded the weekend of June 13th, 2026. Last night, the United States government did something to AI that has never happened before. It ordered the most powerful commercial model on the market shut down, 3 days after launch. Within hours, hundreds of millions of users lost access. The episode you are about to watch is, I think, the most important episode of this show I have made, because the argument for decentralized AI just got made for us by Washington in real time. We will get to what happened, why it matters for Bittensor, and then we will run through Bittensor's own news this week, including a first that no one has covered yet. Story 1. The night the government turned off an AI model. Here's what happened. On Friday, June 12th at 5:21 p.m. Eastern Time, Anthropic, the company that builds Claude, received a directive from the Commerce Department. The directive cited national security. It ordered Anthropic to suspend access to its two most powerful models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5, for every foreign national in the world, including Anthropic's own foreign national employees. There was no clean technical way to comply with that for foreign nationals only, so Anthropic switched both models off for every customer everywhere, inside of hours, 3 days after Fable 5 had launched publicly. This is the first time in the history of commercial AI that a government has recalled a live, deployed, paid-for model. Every other Claude model still works. Every other Labs model still works. But the two best models on the market, the ones that by every public benchmark were ahead of OpenAI and Google, went dark on a directive that nobody outside the room has seen. The stated justification, according to Anthropic, is that the government believes someone found a way to jailbreak Fable 5. Anthropic's own technical team reviewed the demonstration and called it, quote, narrow and not universal. The supposed exploit was asking the model to read a codebase and point out software flaws. That is a capability available in basically every other public model, including OpenAI's GPT 5.5. It is something cybersecurity defenders use every single day. Anthropic is complying with the order but publicly disagreeing. They have warned that if this criterion were applied industry-wide, it would essentially halt all new model deployments. There is a deeper irony here. 2 days before the directive, Dario Amodei, the CEO, published a long policy essay calling for the United States government to have legal authority to block frontier AI model releases. He got what he asked for faster than he was ready for, and the first target was his own company. Here's the part that matters for this show. A single letter, sent at 5:21 p.m. on a Friday night, took the most capable commercial AI on Earth offline for everyone. Not because the model was unsafe, not because the company refused to comply, because there is one company, one API, one legal entity to receive the letter. That is the centralized AI failure mode made visible. Bittensor was built specifically so that this cannot happen. There is no Anthropic to receive the letter. There is no API to switch off. Models live across thousands of independent participants. Compute lives across thousands of independent participants. Governance happens on-chain. A government can ban an exchange. A government can sanction a company. A government cannot send a directive to a network that has no headquarters, no CEO, and no kill switch. That is the thesis. This week, Washington tested it in public. The market noticed Tau is up 16.6% on the day as we record, up 25% on the week. The decentralized AI trade is moving in real time. Now let us look at what Bittensor itself did this week, because while one government was shutting down the centralized AI stack, the decentralized one shipped a lot. Story 2. Bittensor cut off a subnet for the first time, and we had the wrong subnet number. A correction up front, for several episodes we said the first emission block was coming for subnet 104. That was wrong. The actual subnet that got cut off was subnet 84. We are calling that on air to keep the record straight. The contrast with the Fable 5 story is sharp. On June 10th, the governance arm of Bittensor reviewed subnet 84 and voted to turn its rewards off. The subnet was not doing real work, it was using its position to extract value rather than create it. And its operator had interfered with the validators trying to do their job. This was the first time in network history that a Bittensor subnet has had its emissions blocked by governance decision. Same week as the Anthropic shutdown. Both stories about AI governance. One is a federal directive applied to a corporate stack, the other is a community vote applied to an on-chain stack. Both happened. Watch which one earns more trust over time. Story 3. Subnet operators are putting their money where their mouth is, in public. For the last month, there has been a way for subnet teams to lock their own tokens behind their own work. This week, the first public leaderboard went live. 25 of 128 subnets now have operators visibly committed. A team called MVTRX leads. Its operators have locked about a fifth of all locked tokens on the entire network behind themselves. More interesting, 3 subnets have 0 operator commitment. Those are the 3 that Covenant abandoned when its founder cashed out and walked back in April. There is now a public clock counting down on each of them, 62 days, 124 days, and 200 days, until an outside team can formally take over. The mechanism the network built in response to that exit is now publicly counting down in real time. Story 4. Someone is training a frontier-scale AI model on gaming GPUs. A team called Macrocosmos kicked off training this week on a 100 billion parameter AI model, the size most people associate with OpenAI and Google. The twist is the hardware. There is no data center. The model is being trained on consumer graphics cards, the kind serious gamers have at home, scattered around the world and coordinated through a Bittensor subnet. Early numbers suggest they are getting about 2/3 the efficiency of a data center run. If that holds and the model finishes, it would be the largest decentralized AI training effort ever attempted and the strongest practical proof yet that frontier AI does not have to live inside a hyperscaler's facility. Story 5. You can now borrow against your Tau without leaving Bittensor. A project called Forge launched this week. It is the first lending market where Tau is the collateral, Tau is the loan, and the whole thing stays on Bittensor. Until this week, anyone who wanted to borrow against Tau had to bridge their holdings out to Ethereum or Solana and use a wrapped representation. Now there is a native option. Small today, but it is the first piece of real lending infrastructure the network has had.
Quick note on what we are not running this week. 5 different outlets continue to report that the Foundation already doubled the network's subnet capacity in May. We have not yet seen a primary source from the Foundation itself, and the on-chain numbers do not show it. Until we get a primary confirmation, we are holding that story. The market. Per MEXC live data, Tau is trading at $247.38. 24-hour change is up 16.61%, 7-day change is up 25.36%, market cap is $2.72 billion. This is the market, making the decentralization case in real time as the Fable 5 story breaks. Now to the subnet spotlight. This week's spotlight is a subnet called Trishool, and the irony is sharper in the context of the Fable 5 story. Trishool's whole job is the safety work that Anthropic just got punished for. They pay people to try to break AI models, to trick them into saying harmful things, to find blind spots, to discover the exact kind of jailbreak the Commerce Department says it found in Fable 5. The difference is the work happens out in the open, on a Bittensor subnet with rewards paid in Tau, and the discoveries fold back into a shared defense model that anyone can use. In the same week that the most centralized AI lab on Earth lost 2 products to a single federal letter, Trishool quietly cleared 3 institutional bars. Anthropic accepted them into its formal enterprise partner program, the one Anthropic launched in March with $100 million behind it. Google accepted them into its Web3 startup program with $200,000 in cloud credits. And the largest Bittensor AI subnet, Shoots, deployed Trishool's safety product into its live chat product to protect real conversations. The story writes itself. Anthropic builds the safety work in-house, gets recalled. Trishool builds the safety work decentrally, and Anthropic is one of the customers. The Trishool token sits around $1.15. The gap between the news and the price is the trade if you think this is the model that wins. Now to the alpha portfolio. 3 things to watch. First, how the Fable 5 shutdown plays out, whether Anthropic gets the models back online quickly, or whether this becomes a recurring failure mode for centralized AI. Second, the 62-day countdown on Subnet 3, first real test of community takeover. Third, the next subnet Bittensor governance names for emission block. That is it for this week. The most important thing that has happened in AI in years happened on a Friday night, and the case for decentralization made itself. If you found this useful, hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next episode finds you. I will see you next Saturday.